Hello everyone, Matt who's here with Sawhorse, and we are on the next day installation of the radon system, the thermal control layers, and also the vapor control layers. So today, primarily, since we already have the radon system underneath the gravel, what we're going to do is install the ROCKWOOL panels. Now this is a 4-inch panel. We're using the Comfort Board 110. I know some people use Comfort Board 80, but we're using the 110 underneath the slab. Now we're not using it below the footings because the compression rating is not there to support the weight of the whole house, but it's more than enough to hold up the slab. You know, I'm squeezing on it right now. I'm barely seeing any movement at all. And once the concrete is poured, this is it. Like there's no movement into it. It's settled. It's any of the gaps are filled immediately, so you don't have to worry about long-term cracking and whatnot. But before we do that, what we're going to do is set up a laser. I've got my Bosch laser right here. And what I'm going to go do, the gravel is mostly prepared, but I want a nice even surface. So we're going to shoot the laser level, go around, make sure all the gravel is nice and smooth, make sure it's level, and that way the ROCKWOOL will go down pretty easily, and it's going to go right on top of the gravel. So there's no barrier in between the gravel and the ROCKWOOL, so we need to make sure that this surface is prepared, nice and smooth, and let's check it out. Let's get started. Now these indentations that I have right here, these are where the grade beams are going to go. So not worried about putting insulation in here, but all the elevated areas are going to have the ROCKWOOL insulation, and it's going to go underneath the slab up to where the grade beams and all the way to the outside of the foundation wall. All right, as you can see, I've got part of the ROCKWOOL underneath the slab over there. So what we're able to do is like create a little entrance, because what's happening is we've leveled the gravel out, and as we walk on it, it kind of like leaves little indentations in it, and it causes issues with the ROCKWOOL sitting flat. Now, if you notice, I'm wearing a mask, and the reason is not because of COVID, but this actually filters out PM 2.5, and it fits very tight. This is made by Zenano, and if you guys use code word, if you type in code word Sawhorse, you guys will be able to get a discount on this mask. I'm not sure what the discount is, but you will get a discount on it. And the reason I like this is that you notice I'm talking through this mask, doing this interview, not having any issues with breathing. I'm able to breathe through this mask. This is very good if you're, say, working out in an area that's dirty, running, or if there's too much dust in the area when you're working outside. This is an excellent work mask for us. And what's nice about this, I can wash this mask up to 50 to 100 times. No loss in efficiency and whatnot. So very good mask, definitely recommend these. We use these on our job sites and also for all of our workers. This is also good for if you're going into an environment, like sometimes we're going sales calls, there's mold in those sales calls, I'll wear these. I don't have to worry about the mold as much, and it doesn't necessarily affect me as badly. So this is a good mask for that. So we've got the cavalry coming soon. Clean Vapor's coming back. They're gonna help us finish some of the slab prep and put the rest of the ROCKWOOL in place. But until they get here, I'm gonna continue putting these boards down and just working on leveling of basically the back section of the house. That way we have a good area to do prep work on and start prepping everything as it's coming to the grade beams. All right, everyone, it's first thing in the morning on the third day of this installation. So most of the insulation is in. We can't put insulation in below the footings because of the compression rate. There are products for that. Unfortunately, they just weren't available due to, we had a hurricane coming through last week and they just weren't in production and nothing was in stock for that. So what we're going to do is kind of clean this up. Now underneath some of the ROCKWOOL, the gravel was slipping out. So what I did is I kind of built these little bridges in between them. So like when we're walking on it, it doesn't move around. Now, I'm not really worried about the gravel moving once we pour the concrete, because once the concrete goes in place, it's going to hold the gravel in place. So we can have the airflow for the radon and also the moisture. And then we've got our good thermal control layer with the rock wool. Now, I do want to talk about at the end of this video some of the things that I've learned as we're doing this design. We originally designed this house so it was not going to be necessarily a passive house. So now that I know that it's a passive house, and this is my first slab installation, seeing some of the challenges we're having with the footings, I know how I would redesign a house next time if we're doing another passive house with this below grade insulation. The challenge is we have all these grade beams in place, and as you can see, this rock wool, this comfort board 110 is designed to be able to go below a slab and not necessarily below the footings. We've got a lot of footings in here. Now, we could have used a different type of insulation below the footings, but unfortunately, because of the hurricanes and also it was a custom order, we're not able to get that in time. So again, this climate zone is not a huge deal, but especially if you're in a northern climate zone, I'll look at footing details where you have maybe post and beams, so you basically have small areas, like a small spread footing, instead of having to deal with a full grade beam, because that full grade beam, we're losing insulation in that whole area. Again, not a huge deal because we're in Atlanta, Georgia, but if we're in Boston or if you're in Canada, it definitely would be a big deal. So I would look at trying to design without having to have all those beams, uninsulated beams, in the slab below your house. All right, let's get back to it. We've also created a virtual showcase house for this. So not only can people from Atlanta come take a look at it, but if you're not from Atlanta, you're able to do a virtual tour of the house where you can go through, see the before, the during, and the after. And this video, along with hundreds of other videos, other images and whatnot, will be added to the tour. So you can do a self-guided tour, kind of learn our thought process and what we did to create this project, and hopefully be inspired to do something like this for yourself. Thanks again, and see you guys next time.